Kwaba, welcome to this week's edition of Ghana in Focus with myself, Kwame, Ghanaian broadcaster, writer, journalist, podcaster, and entrepreneur. And in this week's edition of Ghana in Focus, we're looking about business opportunities in Ghana, part 3. This week, looking at real estate. That's the theme for this week's podcast, exploring business opportunities in Ghana, part 3, looking at real estate. So before we get into the show, if you like what you hear, please share to your friends, family, and social media networks. Again, if you we want you to support Ghana African Focus, so we want to get at least 100 subscribers on YouTube. So please subscribe to Ghana African Focus on YouTube. Hit the notification bell, meaning that every time I upload a new podcast, YouTube will notify you. Again, we're also on Spotify. So just look out for Ghana African Focus on Spotify. Hit the follow button, and Spotify will notify you every time we upload a new podcast. Again, we want to try and get 1,000 followers on Spotify. So far, we've got 581. So thank you to all those who are following me on Spotify. So it's free, it doesn't charge anything. So just look out for Ghana African Focus on Spotify and click on the follow button, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new podcast. And if you do listen to me on Spotify, we'd like to know what you think of the show. So if there's a comment section, so send us your comments. Tell us what you think of the program. Tell us, your comments. So again, it doesn't cost anything to send us a comment. So if you do listen to me on Spotify, I'd like to know what you're thinking of the show. So please send us your comments. All right. So let's get into this week's edition of Ghana in Focus. Like I said, continuing our series, exploring business opportunities in Ghana. This week, we're looking about real estate. So the real estate industry is a massive, massive industry in Ghana. And there is, again, plenty of avenues within the real estate sector to exploit and to make money as well. And so the real estate, portfolio is divided into 2 sections. So you've got your land, which I'll come on to later on. Then you've got your building. So in terms of building, you can build your own property in Ghana. So you can buy your land and then build your property in Ghana. And, like I mentioned, building in Ghana is becoming very expensive. And so you need to, take consideration of that. Building materials have doubled and tripled in price since 2022. So making building in Ghana very, very expensive, but buying or building your own property is an option as well, because that gives you the free range to build a property of your choice. So you can do the architecture drawings yourself, or you could hire the services of an architect and a designer, and they can design a property that suits your taste. Okay, so once you've got the land, and then once you've got the architecture drawings, then you can begin to build that dream house of yours, and you can build it in any style that you want. So I've got a video that I did about 3 years ago, looking about different types of building in Ghana. So if you don't want to do the conventional building, i.e. blocks and cement, which is the traditional way of building in Ghana, there's other methods that have sprung up over the last 5 years that is more cheaper than using the traditional brick, cement and blocks and iron rods. So you've got raffawoods. Raffawoods is a very, very eco-friendly way of building a house in Ghana. That is not as expensive as the traditional way. You've also got containers. So that is shipping containers. So you can build your property using shipping containers, and shipping containers has become a very, very innovative way of building in Ghana, as well as eco-friendly to the environment as well. Also, you can build your property with recycled plastic. So there's a brother, I think his name is Nelson Boateng, but I'll try and get that for you. Nelson Boateng, who has a recycled plastic company where he builds houses, believe it or not, from recycled plastics, yeah? So I'll try and get a link for you, and you can look at that. But like I said, in one of my videos that I did about 2.5, 3 years ago, I did a video of the different house types in Ghana, and Nelson Bottom was amongst those in terms of the plastic or the recycled plastics, that innovation that he has come up with to use to build houses. Again, another method of building houses is using bricks, like they do in the UK. So if you want to build a house with bricks, again, that is another, eco-friendly and more affordable way of building your own property in Ghana, as opposed to the traditional cement, iron rods, and cement blocks, route. So that is that part. If you want to build your own property in Ghana and live in it, those are the options that are open to you in terms of building a property in Ghana. But you first must secure the land, and we'll come on to the land in a minute. And so that's building your own property. So you can build your own property to rent yourself, you live in there yourself, or you can build a property there, that you could use to rent to expatriates, people that have come to Ghana to work for multinational companies, or even you can use your property to rent out to a lot of these companies that are now operating in Ghana, because they do a lot of companies, whether they're multinationals or whether they're like banks or telecommunication companies, do like to rent people's properties for their businesses. So that's building your property. So if you don't want to build your own property, you can buy a property that's been built already. So in Ghana, over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, right, there's been a lot of new building, a lot of building going on in Ghana, within Accra and also outside of Accra in the last 10 years. But property within Accra, particularly the nice areas of Accra, is very, very expensive. So, and again, I made a podcast on that 3 years ago, buying property in Accra. So you want to buy property in Accra, particularly if you're from the West. Obviously, you want to buy a property that, that sort of tailors your needs as to somebody coming from the diaspora, as to, looking about a nice fitted kitchen, a nice bedroom, with a nice toilet and bathroom, a bigger bathroom, a dining area, a lounge, etc. So you want to buy a property, that is akin to what you are accustomed to in the UK, US, Canada, or wherever you're coming from the diaspora. So, in Ghana, you pay for what you get. So there's properties out there in Ghana that are for $30,000, but those properties may not have the best in terms of security, in the best of finishing, in the best of decor, and maybe not, and will probably also be in an area that is really, really on the outskirts of Accra, or not in an area that is not really an affluent area. However, if you want to buy a property, in an affluent area, then you're looking at least to pay a minimum $200,000, yeah, and that could be for a 2-bedroom apartment, could be for a townhouse, etc. If you want to buy a 3-bedroom house within a affluent area, then you're looking about at least $250,000 upwards. So, and these properties that I mentioned, these properties that are 200,000 plus, these are very, very, these are properties, particularly if you're from the West, that will suit your style. So these have got fitted kitchen, they've got hobnobs, they've got electric cookers, they've got, fridges in there. Some of them have got built-in fridges in there already. They've got a large lounge area for your TV, your hi-fi system, your computer, a little workstation in the living room if you want to do that. They've also got a large dining area where you can, dine with your family and friends. So if you've got like a table that can seat 6 or 8, some of the dining rooms in these houses are very, very big. So, if you want properties of that nature, those properties are mainly in the affluent areas. So East Legon, Cantonments, Laboni, Airport Residential Area, East Airport, Spintex Road, parts of Tema Community 25 is a developing area. Community 26 is also a developing area. You've also got Lashibi, Community 1718, within the Tema enclave. You've also got a lot of new developments springing up outside Accra. So going on to Ayin Mensa, there's a lot of developments there. Well, beautifully crafted houses. You've also got areas like Oyarifa, again, very upmarket community with a lot of fantastic properties there. You've also got East Legon Hills, which has developed rapidly in the last 10 years. You've also got Aburi in the mountains. So now, a lot of the properties are land, but like I said, I'll come to land in a minute. But a lot of the properties now being built in the Ghana, particularly in the capital, or basically outside the capital, because it's very hard to get land within the Accra metropolitan area boundaries. So many of the real estate developers are developing property outside of Accra. So like I said, Ayin Mensa, Oyarifa, even Aburi itself. Aburi is now becoming a hotcake whereby people want to move and build a property in Aburi because Aburi is in the mountains and it's much cooler, in the mountains. So if you don't like the heat and Accra can get very hot, particularly during the daytime, then, Aburi, spelled Aburi, Aburi, is somewhere that I would strongly recommend because it's very cool. It's in the mountains. And, it is somewhere that you can feel comfortable within that vicinity. So Aburi is a very becoming a very popular destination, particularly amongst Africans from the diaspora who want to live, in a mountainous area, free from the hustle and bustle of the capital of Accra. So if you buy properties in those areas, again, like with building your own property, you can actually, if you don't want to live in that property yourself, what you can do, you can rent it out. And there's many people in Ghana who are looking for properties. The right of return has brought many Africans from the diaspora to Ghana. Many of them are looking for properties to buy, to rent, etc. So if you buy a property in one of those nice areas or Aburi, for instance, you can get somebody there to rent it for you, or somebody there who will rent your property for you. Again, once you've bought your property, you can use it as an Airbnb, so you can hire it out during seasonal activities in Ghana. So particularly, between December and March, very popular time for tourists in Ghana, particularly that to December. So you can use your property as an Airbnb. Again, you can rent out to these multinational companies like banks, telecommunications companies, etc., who are willing to pay top premium for renting your property. So in terms of buying properties, there are many avenues for you to make money if you can buy, once once you've bought your own property in Ghana. There's renting, Airbnb, etc. So, so apart from building your own property, buying your own property is another thing as well. So that's about basically, the thing about housing. So you can either, build your own property to live in yourself, or to let, or to do whatever you want to do with it, or you can, buy a property that's already been built by a lot of the housing development companies that have sprung up in Ghana over the last 10 or so years. And again, once you bought the property, if that is your property, you got the paperwork and what have you to claim that that is your own bona fide property. And again, you can do whatever you want with it. You can use it as an Airbnb, you can rent it out, what have you. Yeah. So that's property, in terms of buying, in terms of, building your property. Now we come on to land. So land is again a very good investment in Ghana, because if you buy land in Ghana today, right, give it about 2-3 years, that land will either double or triple in price, particularly pertaining on the area where you bought the land. So, for example, I mentioned Aburi, a minute ago, in terms of buying property there. Now you can get land in Aburi for like $30,000-$40,000. Unfortunately, Ghana has become as such that a lot of land now, particularly in these, sought after areas like Oyaifa, East Legon Hills, Ayamensa, and Aburi. Unfortunately, these lands are priced in dollars because they're premium and they're in sought after areas. So, for example, if you want to buy land in Aburi, you can expect to pay upwards of $25,000 to $30,000, easily for a plot in Ghana. So a plot in Ghana is something like about half an acre or quarter of an acre, depending on the plots or the allocation of the plots. That landowner or the person that owns that landowner is allocating their plots to and selling those plots by. So, once you bought your land, say for example, you bought a land in a sought after area for let's say $30,000, yeah. If you leave it a couple of years, that will double, triple, yeah, because the demand is there in this sought after area. So you can just buy the land, wall it. So I recommend that if you buy the land, fence it or wall it so that you don't get encroachers and land guards, because that's again another very notorious thing that's going on in Ghana. People have bought a lot of land in Ghana, but because they've fenced and walled it right, it's not been encouraged by third parties. So you want to be careful of that when you are buying land in Ghana. So, like I said, land is a very, very precious commodity in Ghana that can use a lot of return on your investment if you buy your land outright. Again, once you bought your land, you can build on it or do whatever you want to do on it. Again, once you bought your land, you can, even, like I said, leave it alone, or you can give it to a company for them to build on, and you can get a monthly, earn a monthly income as a landowner from that real estate developer for using your land or parcel of lands to build property on. Again, you can use the land to develop a farm. Again, particularly with this economy whereby food is getting expensive in Ghana. A lot of importation food is getting expensive. And if you're able to buy land and, cultivate it as a farm, again, you can make a lot of money in that, because farming, for me, is going to be the big industry in Ghana. That's where the next millions are going to come from. Not just thinking about IT, not thinking about AI, but farming. But I'll come on to that next week when I talk more about the agricultural business in Ghana. But like I say, you can buy land and use it as a farm to develop on. Again, you can get land in Ghana and even build student accommodation. Again, Ghana is now, becoming a magnet for a lot of students. So, within Ghana and also outside of Ghana. So student accommodation is becoming a very much needed commodity in Ghana, because if you look at, for example, the University of Legon, a lot of the accommodation is very substandard, and a lot of it is also like 4-to-1, 4 guys to 1 local room. So, and also a lot of this student accommodation leaves out to be designed in Ghana. So if you're able to, get a plot of land and then build, decent student accommodation, again, you'll make a lot of money as well, because like I said, that is something that is in demand. Student accommodation, particularly good, decent student accommodation. And what I mean by good, decent student accommodation, what I mean by that you got toilet, you got a bathroom in each apartment. You probably got like a play area where people can play, snooker or pool, or a couple of computer games, like a restroom, that kind of thing. If you're and also like a nice kitchen as well, whereby students can make their own food. So if you have student accommodation of that ilk, right, you are going to make a lot of money in Ghana, because there's a rapid student population in Ghana, and I don't see the student population, particularly at the university level, I don't see that decreasing in the next 5, 10, even 15 years, because Ghana is a very, very young population. The majority of Ghanaians are under 30. So that tells that if you were to build student accommodation, yeah, you look into the future, 5, 10, 20 years, yeah, you look at the population trajectory, particularly the student university population trajectory, right, then building student accommodation is a no-brainer, and you can expect to make a lot of money if you have a land and that you decide to build a student accommodation on that land. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Ghana in Focus, looking about the real estate industry in Ghana. Hope it's given you food for thought in terms of looking at real estate as a potential, not just business opportunity, but a potential investment opportunity as well, where you can get good returns on your investment. So in next week's show, which will be the last of the series for now, we'll be looking about farming agriculture. Like I said, that is massive business. So look out for that. There's a lot of gems I'm gonna, share next week in terms of agriculture and how you can become literally a millionaire overnight in terms of agriculture. And so from myself, Kwame, and from all the crew here on Ghana in Focus. Oh, before I go, sorry about that, before I go, I'm gonna leave in the footnotes. There's one of the developers that I get a lot of email from called Sesso. They're going to be doing a webinar this coming Thursday, the 27th of March, and they'll be doing a presentation webinar on how you can buy land in Ghana. So if you recall, about 2.5 years ago, I did a podcast about how to buy land in Ghana, legit land in Ghana. Okay, so things have changed since then when I did that podcast 3 years ago. So if you are wanting to buy land in Ghana, or you may be interested in the process of how to buy land, then I would recommend that you attend this webinar seminar presentation on Thursday, the 27th of February, and I'll leave you all the details in the footnote so you can register to attend a webinar on Thursday, and you get a lot of gems as to how to buy land in Ghana and how to navigate some of the pitfalls when it comes to buying land in Ghana. All right. So for myself, Kwame, and from all the crew here on Ghana in Focus, is thank you very much for listening. And we'll see you next week for some more business and investment opportunities in Ghana.